Today on how I design jewelry that incorporates clients what I call these blue pearl moments, those particularly luminescent standout moments in life. That's what I'm going to be doing today. Of my talk with this. So hold on while I share the screen. And what we're going to do is the slideshow. Oops, up here. Oops. Boy, I don't want to do the slideshow. Well, I'm not doing too well here, am I? Hold on and I'll figure this out. View, slideshow. Now we've got it. Now we've got it. What I wanted to talk to you with today are blue pearl moments and how I incorporate them in jewelry. Now, you've probably had those fleeting moments in life when you experience a really profound insight. Something happens. It's like God pulls this curtain back, this really sheer curtain, or opens a window, and you get a profound insight or a real feeling of intimacy or love or connection. It's really incredible. You can really see into those deeper workings of life. And then it's over. And we're back to those everyday things once more. Now, I call those luminescent moments blue pearl moments. And with my clients, I create jewelry commemorating their blue pearl moments. They become a talismanic piece of really fine jewelry, and it can capture a story or a feeling from their life that tells a story to the future generations as the jewel is passed down through the family. When a client wants custom jewelry from me, I think of a way I could tell her story that leaves clues, about the wearer to those that come after her. She might even come to me looking for a blue pearl story, but I start with the client and I start with asking questions, and there always is one. Now, this is a client named Frances who came to me. She had a super pair of tanzanite stud. Well, they were super pair of tanzanites in some lackluster stud earrings. These weighed a little over 12 carats. Her son actually had faceted them. He's an award-winning gem cutter. His name is Clay Zava, and he's my former husband. But, that's another story. My former mother-in-law came to me, and I think that's a real recommendation, isn't it? And wanted a fab piece of jewelry. Now, one thing, just because I know her well, that actually makes it a bit more difficult for me to design these jewelries. I need to maintain a bit of a distance, but this is how we started with this. She came to me with the tanzanites, and she had some jewelry that had been passed down in her family. That top ring there with that diamond shape was her mother's. And I thought, oh, that would be really nice to design a piece of heirloom jewelry that would incorporate gemstones her son cut, and then diamonds that were, from a piece of jewelry that her mother wore, and then she would wear the earrings, and they would be handed down to one of her granddaughters one day. So during our conversation, I was asking her, what are those moments in your life, Frances, where you felt that real connection, a real strong feeling to the world, the blue pearl moment? And she mentioned going on safari and being in the hot air balloons over the Serengeti plains there in Kenya, and how the giraffes there, looking down on the herds of giraffes, and all of that really did something to her. So I got to thinking, well, okay, giraffes. Now, I didn't want the earrings to be, look like safari jewelry or big game jewelry with a giraffe motif, but I started thinking about those little tender giraffes, and one thing that's characteristic of the Serengeti Plains is the acacia tree. You see them, they're actually in this background here, those green, those umbrella-shaped trees, and the giraffe's tongue is really long and nimble, and it's particularly adapted to being able to move around the thorns on the acacia branches and eat those precious leaves. Here's what the acacia leaves look like. They're long and narrow, like a real long oval. They're not real wide, and they have those thorns there. And that's the giraffe's main food, is the acacia leaves. So I started thinking, how could we make like just maybe prongs in an earring that had a real pointed shape? Would that be enough for a Serengeti Plains blue pearl moment earring? And then I started playing some more, and this one here on the far edge, it started working in a little bit more of the thorns, and then I started playing around and working in more of the leaves. And eventually we took this pair on the end, the design on the end, and we removed the rim of diamonds around it so that it was, we used more of her mother's diamonds on the side, the 4 diamonds. We could have more detail allowed in the acacia leaves. And then we had the spiny thorns, of the prongs that hold the tanzanite. So as you can see, this isn't like a big game earring or a safari hunter earring. It's really a gorgeous earring that it can be worn every day, and somebody needs to ask a little bit more to hear the story. But when she sits with those grandkids and tells them the story of her earrings, they're going to remember that, aren't they? And these stories of moments and family and people will be passed down. Now, I wanted to include her mother wore the ring that we got the diamonds from. Now, okay, I said her name was Frances, but I try to give people some privacy. That's a pseudonym. Her name starts with K, and her mother's name started with B. So I put on the back of the earrings the initials of grandma and great grandma, so they would be combined in a real family heirloom that contains the tanzanites cut by the sun, the diamonds by the great grandma, the blue pearl moment of the grandma, and those would combine in a pair of earrings to really go down through the generations and tell that story. Here's what they look like on. Fabulous, aren't they? Now, once I do a design, it doesn't mean that that design can only be once. We could adapt it. And this is just an example of how to adapt things, because sometimes I have designs on my site or in my posts and so forth, and people think we need to just use exactly that. Well, it can always be adapted. What if I've always liked the picture of these topiaries, or the form of these topiaries with the orange trees. What if we incised one in the back of a piece of rock crystal, a form of it, just like this pagoda is? We could make one with the topiary, and we put it in one of these earrings, and instead of diamonds, we used orange spessartite garnet. And then it becomes kind of a citrus type motif that's still really classic. I grew up with a bunch of citrus trees all around, so I suppose it's something that really influences me. So I specialize in being able to work with my clients and make pieces of jewelry that have a meaning for them. They can be blue pearl moments when they have that particularly luminescent viewpoint on what's happening in the world, or it can be just something that deals with their likes and dislikes and even the forms that they like. And some people, I have one friend who really likes certain forms, like scroll-like forms, in her home, and so we've used them in her jewelry. There's ways we could start. You could DM me to get an idea of how to start. And you could join me on my Facebook Live launch party. That's for launching my new website, and it will be Thursday, November 15th, 8 to 10 Eastern. Just go right to my Facebook Lives page, and we're going to have discounts during the event. And I have a lot of new jewels that I'm going to show during the event, too. That's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of interactive jewel talk. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I sure appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please write them in the chat box, and I'll be sure to answer them, or send me a DM, or call me. Thank you. Bye-bye.